Right, Radhe Radhe everyone. Today we are going to continue our discussion on Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, Dhyan Yoga, and we are going to cover verse 6.45 and 46. So before that, let's do the invocation. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudevasutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. All right. So yes, because these two verses that we're going to discuss today is also connected to the previous verses, so I'll just go through the last six verses that we've covered in a gist. So the like Arjuna asked Krishna that what happens to the fallen yogi who could not reach the perfection, nor he could do anything in the material realm. So, and he says to Krishna that only he can resolve this doubt. So, Krishna says that no sincere effort is ever lost and such a yogi is never destroyed. He says that that yogi is born in a prosperous or a spiritual family, and um he continues his effort in that direction. And then he says that if a yogi, through his spiritual practices, has become an advanced yogi, then he is born in a family of enlightened beings or wise yogis. And the starting for his spiritual journey is very early on. And that the yogi who is born in that is what we've discussed in the previous chapter, the class, that who is such a advanced yogi who is born in a family of enlightened beings. They regain the spiritual wisdom from past lives, and their journey is helped by revived discernment and favorable surroundings. And the next thing that he says, that's the state of a yogi who is not yet completely not yet very advanced, but they still have some material tendencies. So such a yogi is actually born in a um, uh, kind of prosperous family, but even though the situations tend to pull them towards the material life, they are drawn by the inner force from past efforts, and they eventually naturally get attracted to God and rises above rituals. So not for gain, but they eventually the efforts lead to the love for God, and their past impressions awaken and awaken the spiritual longing amidst the worldly life. So that's what we have discussed in the previous shlokas. So today we'll continue the 6.45. So I'll just read the shloka 6.45. Prayatnadyat manastu yogi samshuddha kilbishah anek janma samsiddhas tato yati param gatim. So anybody want to read? Yes, Sandhya, and I see one more hand.
Srinamya ji, yes. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Radhe Radhe. Prayatnadyatmanastu yogi sanshuddha kilvishaha anek janma sansiddhas tato yati param gatim.
Thank you, Sandhya. Sri Ramya ji,
राधे राधे
Radha Radhe.
यत्मानस्तु योगी संशुद्धकिल्बिषः अनेकजन्म संसिद्धास् ततो यति परां गतिम्. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you. So the translation goes like this. So it says that, but that yogi who strives with full effort. So here they are talking basically about the both that is the Binduja category, who is born in a spiritual family, or the other one. This verse basically talks about the culmination of lifetimes of effort. So where all these effort ends at. So he says, Krishna says that that yogi who strives with full effort, he becomes purified from the sin. And sin means ignorance of your real identity. So whatever we think we are, that we get purified from sin. After many births, becoming perfect, he reaches the supreme state. So that's what Krishna is saying. So let's read the explanation. Krishna here is talking about a yogi who does not achieve liberation in a single life. So nobody achieves liberation in single life unless it is an avatar. You know, God directly takes avatar. So, but continues striving across many births, and even if their beginning is flawed, or they have fallen into sin, their sincere effort over time leads to purification. So that's what he's saying, that who strives with full effort becomes purified. Then, what does the purification means? Their desires are washed away, and their spiritual strength grows, and the journey may involve setbacks, but no effort is wasted. And such a soul eventually reaches a turning point where their past merit gives them momentum and the present effort makes the change possible. What is the change? Which is from ignorance to knowledge. And with renewed determination and grace, they rise above their former nature, which is animalistic, which is full of selfishness and kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, all of that. A person tends to rise above their former nature, and the yogi becomes firm in their purpose, striving harder than before. So this is, after many births, they become perfect, and they reaches the supreme states, that is striving harder than before and moves towards perfection, free from guilt, illusion, or distraction. And this verse gives great hope, that is, no matter how dark one's past is, sincere striving and purification over lifetimes can lead to complete liberation. So we never know whether this is our lifetime or we have more to come, but the what matters is our effort. And Krishna, we've already discussed in previous verse also, that Krishna sees our effort, he sees what is our intention, and he gives the circumstances accordingly. So the key teachings again, it says that present effort is crucial for the progress. So that means we might, like, even a yogi has merits from past life. So we might be having a lot of samskars that we bring to the table in this jan. But if we don't progress, if we don't activate those tendencies, those samskars, then that will not progress. So we must strive sincerely in this life to move forward, and it will automatically come. Some path we might not get interested, some path we may get interested. So we have to, even though we have some merits, we should not stop, and we have to keep striving. So without effort in the now, in the present moment, earlier progress will not bear fruit. So even if we want to activate our previous samskars also, we have to um, go into those, satsang, or read the books, or have this company of the sages. So something should come, so that, the even that earlier progress, to have, further progress. Then spiritual success depends on conscious and steady practice. So this is what this one of the teaching is saying. Next is he's saying that inner conflict between God and worldly pull. So the yogi does feel a pull towards God due to purvabhyasa, but also because he or she is not completely purified, they also are attracted to the pleasures and comforts of the material world. So this inner conflict actually tests their strength and clarity. So there have been many, examples of rishis who were meditating, and then, Indra is sending Rambha, Menaka, and all of those people to, get distracted. So do they really exist? Not sure, but it can be, related to your thought process, where your thoughts are going. So any of the sense sensual things, even to eat, or anything can distract. So he's saying that this inner conflict tests the inner strength and the clarity. Where do you want to go? God will keep putting carrots to see if are you satisfied. So then, by renouncing these distractions, they can return to the path with focus. So these people who even though, I mean, by activating your previous samskars and continuously doing steady practice through the whatever path that you get attracted to you, yeah, with that progress, the persons will renounce the distractions and they will return to the path and continue it. Next is spiritual maturity across lifetimes. Aneka Janma Samsiddhi. So Samsiddhi is known as cumulative progress. Okay. So perfection in yoga does not come in one birth, but after many lives effort, and each birth the soul gains wisdom and purifies its tendencies. So if you've already achieved perfection in one, then you may not get that situation again and again. But if some situation is repeating in life, that means we need to have perfection there. We need to not repeat the same mistakes, but find, if we have to see, okay, is this continuously coming, or um I have already dealt with it. If you've already dealt with, the chances of that coming again and you dealing will be very easy. But if it is something new, then if one thing is not working, we have to keep searching for the next and not get deterred like, okay, this is my destiny. I cannot go beyond it. No, it is coming again and again means this is your this is your progress point. You have to progress. So yeah, so that is what it talks about, that with each birth the soul gains wisdom and purifies its tendencies. Next is purity through effort. Some shuddha kilbisha, that is, as a yogi practices sincerely, inner impurities like I said, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, all of this, they get destroyed, and their heart becomes free of kilbisha. Kilbisha means sin or selfishness. So it's all like, in even in previous verses, we've continuously been talking about seeing God in everything, and understanding that everything is coming from the same thing. So that is what, so there is no individuality anywhere, so their heart becomes free of kilbisha, and then we start to see the same divine essence in everyone, including ourselves. Only then are they ready to receive divine grace. So that's why, even if you see, the chapter 5 is talking about ego, understanding that we are not the ego. Chapter 6 is basically talking about oneness. And then even in chapter 6, it is mentioned that without developing this oneness, we cannot progress into the next stage, which is devotion. Devotion is not done to an entity or one God, because God is present in everyone. That means devotion is done towards everyone. That means we have to see God in everyone. So only then are they ready to receive divine grace. Next is final goal is supreme state, that is param gati. So what is that gati? Param gati. It is the reward, it is reaching the highest goal, which is liberation from the cycles of death and birth and death. Okay, so this means liberation from rebirth and absorption in divine consciousness. And I'll give you a at the, I mean, maybe at the later end, a picture which will explain this absorption in divine consciousness more. So the yogi attains true union with the supreme being, and then comes favorable birth must be used wisely. So even if we are born in a pious or wealthy family, it is not a guarantee that we are going to after some time become spiritual. It is not a guarantee. We it's like a two choice. We can go or we may not. So it is not a guarantee. It is that can give you a starting point, but it is not good enough. Unless the yogi turns inward with discipline, they may fall again into the indulgence. And spiritual birth is an opportunity, human birth is an opportunity, but it is not a guarantee. So even if we get the gati, we get the advantage of the company of sages, or family of pious people who are already doing devotions. If we don't do it, we are not going to reach there. So Krishna is saying here that one who strives with full effort becomes purified from sin. After many births, becoming perfect, he reaches the supreme state. So the story that I have is about the Valmiki, sage Valmiki, how he, with constant, effort, how he achieved this spiritual liberation. So the story goes like this: once there lived a, feared highway robber named Ratnakar, who ambushed travelers in the forest to feed his family. So one day he stopped Narada Muni, the wandering sage, expecting to rob him. But instead of fear, Narada calmly said that, "Do you think your family will share the burden of your sins?" So he was very confident first, and he said, "Yes." So Narada Muni said, "Okay, go and ask your family." But the family said, "It is your duty to feed us, but the sins are yours and it's not ours." So this realization shook him deeply. He went to Narada, humbled and desperate for redemption. And because he thought that he's doing some good action, he's feeding his whatever his actions are. But then Narada Muni guided him to sit under a tree and chant the holy name of Lord Ram. But his speech was so corrupted that he could not say Rama. So he started with chanting Mara, which through repetition became Rama, and he remained motionless for so long in meditation that ants built a mound over his body. Hence the name Valmiki, which means one born from an ant hill. And through years of effort and inner purification, even though he started with that kind of samskar, he purified himself, and he was transformed into sage Valmiki, a master of spiritual knowledge. And he later composed Ramayana, which guided millions of people in the path of righteousness and devotion. So it's an example of transformation through inner discipline and grace. So this ends this verse. I wanted to bring our attention to this one concept, which is spiritual evolution, where from attachment uh, towards equanimity, and then we go into the state called Shuddha Sattva. So I'll just quickly read it. So if you have any doubt, you can ask. So what is the nature of attachment? So nature of attachment is emotional dependence on outcomes. So whatever actions we do, we always depend on the outcome. I will do this provided I get this. So, and also our attachment to people and possessions. So this is the nature of our attachment. We will be always emotionally dependent on these things. What is equanimity? After we understand, or when we enter into this spiritual path, we often, even in chapter 2, it starts, nature of people who are wise, how are they and all. So they are not affected by hot cold. Keep listening to that, right? So this is the balanced response to life's duality. Whatever is thrown at us, we are balanced. So this is something we cultivate. So this is called equanimity. So I'll just read these two, and then this I will discuss later. Then what is the attachment driven by? Craving, aversion, and insecurity. And what is equanimity? When we practice it, we get clarity, we get detachment from all these kama, krodha, lobha, and all, and we become inner awareness. It is kind of becoming witness consciousness. So we are becoming witness to our own tendencies, our bodily activities, all of this. And then what is the gunas that affects the attachment? They are dominated by rajas and tamas, and equanimity is rooted in sattva, and eventually it rises above the gunas. That is, even the person becoming witness, they will notice these gunas. So we start noticing our tendencies, so we rise above our tendencies, and we can decide whether we want to entertain that or not. And then what is the spiritual role? hindrance to self-realization. Attachment will always bring a hindrance to self-realization, and equanimity is a bridge between transcendental state and attachment. Then it is practiced by materialistic individuals, which is attachment, and equanimity is practiced by karma yogis and sattvic seekers. Those who are in this path, they develop this tendency. So it is not something that will naturally come. We have to start practicing it, the witness consciousness. Then emotional quality, fluctuating emotions, fear, anxiety, sorrow, because we'll always have the, what will happen, or whether I will pass the exam or not, what will happen if they die, what will happen if I die, what will happen if someone steals something. So that, that fear, anxiety, sorrow always will be a part of this attachment. But here, when a person understands with right knowledge, he will become mentally poised, calm, even minded. Next is goal, which is attachment is always towards personal gain, pleasure, social or material success. And when we are practicing equanimity, we are actually seeking liberation from the cycle of birth and death, and liberation from all kinds of negative vices. That's why we are sitting and chanting. That's why we are doing meditation. That's why we are studying the scriptures, for liberation from all these vices. And and it is a practice of self discipline. We are looking at our tendencies. Then dependency on the world, the attachment is, dependency on the world for attachment is high, and we seek fulfillment externally. We want everybody around us, everything around us. Here it is moderate. We act in the world with detachment. And transformation, in attachment, we have to overcome it, and equanimity must be cultivated. And what is the end state? Attachment leads to bondage and repeated birth. So we know in chapter, verses 2.62 and 63, attachment causes desire, desire, and desire causes, if it is not fulfilled, anger. Otherwise, it is greed. All of that. So that's what scriptural mention is. And equanimity, if we practice, it leads to inner freedom. That is freedom from our mind, and our mind becomes steady, and we can focus on more important things. And the same for Shuddha Sattva. So what is Shuddha Sattva? Shuddha Sattva is that state which is, you can say, even in Bhagavatam I have mentioned, if you consider Krishna's form, then within him is all Brahman. So that state of Brahman, which is Satchidanand, that state is Shuddha Sattva, which is pure transcendental, beyond material gunas. So here, when a person reaches that state, which is next level to equanimity, there the nature becomes pure devotional state infused with divine love. So that means we'll see Bhagwan in everyone, and we'll be devotional. That is, bhakti will be not just with one thing, but with everything. And it is driven by spiritual love, surrender, and divine grace. And there is no gunas acting here. It is nirgun. And spiritual role, full spiritual realization and perfection who have achieved, they are at this Shuddha Sattva level. So Shuddha Sattva is not something, we become more sattvic and then we become Shuddha Sattva. No. Shuddha Sattva is that level where we are functioning without any material contamination. So there is no kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsara. It is at the soul level a person is working. So God realized souls and pure bhaktas are actually at this level. And what is their emotional quality? Ecstatic love, humility, and blissful absorption in God. They are always happily ready to work for God. Loving union with divine without desire for reward. So here there is an, always craving, aversion. There is a desire factor, but here no desire factor is there. So, and what is the dependency on the world? No, working for God. So sees God in everything, acts only for him. And what is the transformation? Here, it has to be cultivated, but this is a natural thing. It blossoms after purification through sadhana and grace. So after grace comes, and like how Valmiki, enough sadhana, then this comes, this Shuddha Sattva, because we are freed from all kinds of material contaminations. And what is the scriptural mention? It is present in Bhagavatam and Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And what is the end state? Divine ecstasy, Ananda, and liberation. Liberation means what? Liberation means we are liberated from all material contamination. We are not coming back. If we come back as avatar. So that's it. So it is Krishna only who is taking some form and coming. So that's what Shuddha Sattva means. All right. So, some verses that I have included to kind of explain this. Krishna says that all the activities are carried out by three modes of material nature. And but in ignorance, the soul, deluded by false identification with body, thinks itself as a doer. What does it mean? That there is no doer. We are actually falsely identifying with our body. With body means what? Not just the external. Mind is a body, mental body, annamaya kosha, pranamaya kosha, manonmaya kosha, vijnanamaya kosha. All these are bodies. Koshas means body. So a person is actually falsely identifying with all their tendencies, their knowledge, whatever they have, and they are thinking that they are the doer. But actually, there are the three modes of material nature. They are what is causing these activities. To explain it a little bit more, for example, your intellect could be sattvic, your mind could be at a state where it is rajasic, and your body uh, could be tired, say tamasic. So all three are in a different state. So then there is a internal juggle, which one should be, whether I should sleep or I should do an action because my mind is rajasic, or should I sit and do meditation, which is sattvic. So that's what he says. Sometimes in Bhagavad Gita 14:10, sometimes goodness prevails over passion and ignorance, and other times the other gunas dominate. And when a wise person sees that in all the work there is no agent of action, that means there is no doer other than the three gunas. These three gunas are only doing their own thing. So they become witness consciousness is this. We see what state our mind is in, what state our intellect is in, what state our body is in. And those people who see that, they know me to be transcendental to these gunas. That means they know their soul and they attain my divine nature, which is Shuddha Sattva. So therefore, giving up attachment, which we have discussed, perform actions, whatever action is a matter of duty, don't get attached to it. Be equanimous, do the duty. For by working without being attached to the fruits, one attains supreme. Again, he's saying by transcending the three modes of material nature, in 1420, associated with body, one becomes free from birth, death, old age, misery, and attains immortality. This is what moksha means. This is what bhakti leads to, which is freedom from birth and death. Then Arjuna says, what is the characteristics of those people who go beyond these gunas? And Divine says that the person who are transcendental to the three gunas neither hate illumination, activity, or delusion. That means even if they see within that they are having these tendencies, they don't hate it. They continuously work on making themselves better. Also, they don't see something negative or positive on other people also. They understand that some gunas are working. And those who are alike in happiness and distress, who established in the self, which is their soul, who treat a clod, a stone, and a piece of gold as equal, they are said to have risen above the three gunas. This we have studied in the chapter, in this chapter also, all of this equanimity, seeing everything as made up of same thing. And then he says that those who serve me with unalloyed devotion rise above. So whoever is devoted to Bhagavan, they rise above these. So what is devoted to Bhagavan means? You have to see in everything. We have to see Bhagavan and we have to serve them with unalloyed devotion, no partiality. And we rise above the three modes of material nature and come to the level of Brahman. So what is the Brahman? Which is a Shuddha Sattva level, which is the Bhagwan's, you can say the Radha Tattva or the inner aspect of Bhagwan. So there are two kinds of beings in this creation. Krishna Bhagwan says in 15, perishable and imperishable. Perishable are those beings that are in material realm. They have material things, they have attachments, they are called perishable, and imperishable means they are liberated. That means they are in Shuddha Sattva. So, yes. So, anybody has any questions? Yes, Sri Ramya ji.
Sorry, my hand was raised from previous thing, but because my hand was raised, I just wanted to say it was a very
Okay.
beautiful presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Sri Ramya ji. All right. So let's go to the next verse. It is 6.46. I'll read first. तपस्विभ्योऽधिको योगी ज्ञानिभ्योऽपि मतोऽधिकः कर्मिभ्यश्चाधिको योगी तस्माद् योगी भवार्जुन. Yes. Any volunteers? Yes, Sandhya. Yes, Shremaji.
तपस्विभ्योऽधिको योगी ज्ञानेभ्योऽपि मतोऽधिकः कर्मेभ्यश्चाधिको योगी तस्माद् योगी भवार्जुन.
Thank you, Sandhya. Yes, Sri Ramaji.
तपस्विभ्योऽधिको योगी ज्ञानिभ्योऽपि मतोऽधिकः कर्मिभ्यश्चाधिको योगी तस्मात् योगी भवार्जुनः. Thank you.
Thank you, Sri Ramaji. So, okay, let's go ahead. The translation says the yogi is superior to ascetics, not devoid of desires, superior to men of learning. Ascetics means tapasvi, superior to men of learning, Gyani, who reads Shastras, and also superior to the ritualist, um, the Pandits. So, therefore, Arjuna to be a yogi. So, let's go into the explanation. So, here Krishna is declaring that a yogi is the highest among all types of spiritual seekers. Whether one performs severe austerities, studies the scriptures deeply, or engage in ritualistic actions, all of these paths are valuable, but he's saying that um, among all, yogi is the highest. So he's saying yogi is superior to these three people, and so therefore he's asking yogi to Arjun to be a yogi. But the yogi who connects directly with the divine through steady discipline, devotion, and detachment. So detachment we have learned. So opposite of attachment. So which is connecting our mind to Bhagavan. So yoga means what? We are whatever actions we are doing, our mind is always thinking about Bhagavan. That is, a person is said to be in yoga. So, but the yogi who connects directly with the divine through steady discipline, devotion, and detachment goes beyond them all. The yogi's focus is not on rewards or knowledge, but on inner transformation and union with God. So he's not focused on anything else. He just want to change himself, change his all material tendencies, and purify himself and achieve this union with Bhagwan. So therefore, Krishna urges Arjuna and all seekers to become a yogi, as this path leads most directly to the ultimate goal of spiritual perfection. So this all the path will lead to the ultimate goal of spiritual perfection, but this is most direct because ultimately we want to develop that love for God. We are not interested in achieving siddhis or becoming the gyanis and do the shastrarth and all of that. It could be a desire, it's not wrong, but he's saying that direct path is to spiritual perfection is to um, directly, connecting with the divine. All right, so let's discuss the key teachings. So first is yogi's aspiration is unmatched. So yogi's aim is God realization. So what is God realization? God realization is to know God, become God. So his aim is become God means what? Even if we are a small poke, a drop, we are right now not in our true nature. So to become our true nature is God realization. So the yogi alone aims for God realization, not for pleasure and recognition or heavenly rewards. Unlike tapasvis, jnanis, or karmis, yogi is not motivated by ego or fruit. So we have learned attachment, equanimity. So here we are not motivated by ego up or any fruit of the results of our efforts. We have done so much, we need to, God must appear. No, nothing like that. We just love God. So unlike tapasvis, jnanis, or karmis, yogis not motivated by ego or fruit result of their efforts. Their desirelessness makes them inwardly pure and spiritually focused, because they are not distracted by what they can get from whatever practices or whatever they are doing, loving Bhagwan or whatever. So bhakti. So they are not looking for um any result other than internal purification and reaching or serving Bhagwan. So that makes them inwardly pure, and their focus is not, they get achieve a lot of focus. They are not distracted. And what is the limitation of other paths? So he's saying, Krishna Bhagavan is saying, ascetics, which is tapasvis, they embrace hardships, but often they desire in the back of their mind, they desire mystical power or respect from people. So they kind of want to show off and gain respect. So scholars who are gyanis, um, they gain scriptural mastery, but they become in the process egoistic. So like they know a lot, and that becomes a hindrance to their progress. So unless they learn to humble themselves. So I have come across one story long back where there was this boy who was trying to take some water from the sea one by one. And when yogi comes and asks that, what are you doing? So the boy says that I'm trying to empty the ocean. So the yogi, he says that, you take these water back and put it, because this effort is, that you cannot drain it, you can only merge with it. So so in that aspect, so scholars, however scriptural mastery they may achieve, it's never going to, it's unless until you merge with it, the knowledge is always incomplete. So they may lack surrender and transformation, and they can become egoistic. But if they are able to merge and understand that the limitations of that knowledge, and understand that what they don't know is more than what they can ever know, then that will humble them. They need to understand that. And the ritualistic people, they perform Vedic actions and all yagya, Ashwamedha yagya, that yagya, this yagya, they want to go to higher realms. So their aim is for heaven or merit, or connecting with some deities. So if that is their aim, Bhagwan says, okay, fine, you go there. So that also kind of limits their progress in achieving the true realization of knowing themselves. And all are bound by subtle selfishness, um, making them bhogis, not true yogis, because that attachment can happen in any form, in terms of mystical powers or ego, I'm the and with knowledge or whatever. So he says that they are bound by subtle selfishness, and that makes them bhogis, as they are doing this to get something, and that they are not true yogis. That means they are not doing this without desirelessness or love for God. And here he says why the yogi is superior. He's saying that because their action is disinterested action, which is nishkam karma. So they are performing karma, but not because they want something, but because out of love for God. So, and they see God in everyone. It's not just, okay, I'm doing this to make Krishna happy. I see Krishna in everyone. So like that. So yogi is disinterested action. Nishkam karma purifies without new bondage. So new attachments are not formed. And whenever we work for God, that is automatically called a karma. So we are not doing any karma. Their lifestyle reflects inner renunciation, not just outer discipline. So it's not just, I'm doing a lot of vrat and all of that, but even inner, inwardly, they are not having these, kama, krodha, lobha, keeping desires first is that they will not have. And they operate from the self, which is the Atma, and not the ego. They understand that there is nothing called ego. It is the gunas working, and we get identified, and the ego develops, and then whatever the gunas is doing, we are thinking the atma is kind of thinking that it is doing, and takes all the karmas and keeps taking birth again and again, getting new identities. So they operate, the yogis are superior because they operate from that atma, that self, not the ego, seeking neither success nor status. So they are doing this out of pure love for God. And then here renunciation is key, not just practice. He's saying that the core distinction is not action versus renunciation, but attachment versus detachment. So it's not like, somebody is doing work and somebody is becoming a renunciate. He's leaving and going. It is not about, the distinction is not on that. It is about how much attached our mind is to the world in comparison to Bhagwan. Yes, Sandhya.
Yeah, I think this fourth point, I just wanted to add this, like in Hindi, there are these two words, tyag and vairagya. So tyag is what is, I guess, loosely used as renunciation or sacrifice, right? But major, like I heard this in one of the satsang, was that tyag is when you want something and you're still not um, engaging in that. So you still have the desire, but you are controlling yourself, right? However, true dispassion or detachment, vairagya, is when you're udasin towards it, that object or any activity, right? So you don't even want it.
Correct.
You only want the your goal of God realization. So that is where we need to reach. But tyag can still be a step in our practice of achieving like total detachment. So I just wanted to add this. This clarity was pretty useful for me.
Yes, thank you, Sandhya. So yeah, I mean, Vairagya means complete. There is Vairagya. First step is no karma, no desire. And Tyag, there is a desire, but still I'm letting it go. So yes, absolutely right. All right. So next is yogi perform with equanimity. So we've discussed about equanimity. It's something we are it's cultivating within us. And while others often work for gain, which is attachment. Without vairagya, which is dispassion, even rigorous practice may mislead. So we have to give up our desire, all of these, and this will not come, because this is a life, many lifetimes of effort leads to this. So again, that does not mean that we have more lifetimes to go. We have to think that this is that life and put all our effort into it. So he's saying that we have to have that dispassion towards the fruit, dispassion towards the result, and perform. Okay, we don't know whether we are going to get liberated or not, we don't know, but we love God, so we are doing. So without that, even rigorous practice may mislead. Another thing is, sometimes people have this, okay, I did so much sadhana, so I'm a very big, I don't know, sadhana person. So that is also kind of ego. So we have to be very careful that the hands, legs, everything is given by Bhagwan. So who is doing sadhana? There is no ego also. So it is just because of a purification of our various bodies that things are happening automatically. It's never done by a person. Even that thought, that inspiration is also coming from Bhagwan. So we have to always keep that in mind. And next is action, knowledge, austerity, all lead to yoga. So he's saying that there is no I mean, all the path leads to the same thing. So Krishna does not condemn tapas, knowledge, gyan or karma marg, but shows yoga as their culmination. That is, ultimately it all leads to the love for God. So why here karma? Because karma is important for the initial purification that we've already discussed in previous shlokas. So each path holds value, but they need to mature into samadhi. Samadhi means equanimity, that drashta bhav, that seeing from the soul point of view, uh, uh, removing all your vices, all our vices. So that has to happen. That is sama of buddhi, equanimity. So each path holds value, but needs to mature into samadhi and inner surrender. So if we are able to practice this equanimity in everything, within us and towards others, if we see some person doing bad action, it is not the person, it's their gunas acting. If we are able to develop that vision, then with eyes open we are in samadhi, and we are already progressing, and we are already at a advanced level. So he's saying that he now invites Arjun to go beyond this division and embrace the essence. So, and the final call, that is, Krishna is saying, for the first time in this chapter, Krishna gives a direct instruction, Tasmad Yogi Bhavarjuna. That means this isn't a comparison anymore. That, not don't become a jnani, karmi, all of that. He's saying that become a yogi. So it's a command for the highest path. A bhogi acts with selfish motive, even in spiritual life. He wants to, I said, subtle ego is also there. So a bhogi can be a person who's in spiritual path, but his aim is something different. So a bhogi acts with selfish motive, even in spiritual life. To be a yogi means to live with equanimity without being wet by worldly waters, like a lotus leaf. And here, this after this equanimity, the Shuddha Sattva is natural flowering. We don't have to worry about when that Shuddha Sattva will come. Just practice equanimity, just practice bhakti. Seeing Bhagwan in everything naturally will make us a advanced bhakt. So advanced bhakt means that the 6.43 talks about, 4.2 talks about, where a person is an advanced yogi, he is born in this particular family, spiritual family and all of that. So that is what it talks about. So I have a story about King Janaka. So he was a detached king. He was king, but he was not a bhogi. He was an enlightened yogi. So King Janaka, who was a ruler of Mithila and father of Sita, was known as a Rajarishi, a king who had attained the highest wisdom while still fulfilling his royal duties. He ruled a prosperous kingdom, managed armies, delivered justice, and raised a family. But through all this, he remained deeply rooted in the self. He was not, a victim of his material nature. He was able to control. He was established in the self, yoga rodha. So what made Janaka extraordinary was that he was fully active in the world, yet entirely unattached to it. And his yoga was not found in renouncing actions, but acting without ego. He saw no difference between palace and a forest. His mind was untouched by success or failure, gain or loss. So there was this an something, a kind of incident that occurred, that once he was having a conversation with his guru, which was Ashtavakra, and some people came running and said that his palace got fire, and but King Janaka remained calm and unmoved, and looking at his stature, Ashtavakra praised him. He says, though you wear a crown, your mind rests in God. You're a true yogi. And also, even though he's king, he always treats people with a lot of humbleness. And humbleness will not come if we are egoistic. So only a person who is not egoistic, who is uh, you ready to bend, that person can only become, and for that they have to see Bhagwan in everyone. So that equanimity, equal vision is very important. So he's saying, he humbly questions sage Yagnavalkya on the nature of the self. Despite his royal position, he displayed the humility of a seeker and the clarity of a sage. So Janaka once declared that even if this entire city of Mithila were to burn, nothing in me would be disturbed. It was not arrogance that he can create a lot of this. No, it was realization of one who had truly conquered the mind and attained inner freedom. So nothing can bother him. He is also mentioned by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 3.20 as an example of person who attained perfection. He says that, in the three worlds, he's given example of King Janaka, and he's told about himself also that I don't have to do any action, but I am doing it so that I am an example, so that people don't become, you know, um, I'm not getting the word, but yeah, people are not will not become redundant.
Inactive.
So yes, so that's what, and it is, the source is Brihadaranya Upanishad, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. So that's it. So final summary: Krishna in 6.45 saying that after many lives of practice and purification, the yogi becomes completely free from worldly desires. With sincere striving, they finally reach the supreme goal, liberation and union with God. So that Shuddha Sattva they will reach, but they keep practicing whatever their heart, whichever direction God is pulling them. And next is Krishna declares that among ascetic scholars and ritualists, yogi is the supreme. Unlike others who seek power, knowledge, or rewards, yogi's only aim is God realization. Krishna advises Arjuna to choose this path. And yeah, so that ends. So I have these quotes that we may forget the path, but the path does not forget you. Bhagwan always remembers our actions, and what was once begun will one day be completed. And then liberation is not sudden; it is earned by the heart that remembers, the will that strives, and the grace that watches over all effort. And this one is very interesting. That is, educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. So we should not become, egoistic, but we should become humble in the heart. So we have to develop that love. So educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. So yes, thank you so much for giving this opportunity. And I think over to you, Sandhya.
Thank you so much. I really love the first one, that God takes care. If we have just started working on this path, that is what all these shlokas are saying, that Krishna is going to take care of us.
Yes.
So
Thank you. Thank you.
that's wonderful. So thank you. And I'll just quickly move to Bhakcharit. We have like 6 minutes, I'll see. Hopefully able to cover it. Okay. Anything you remind looking at this picture? You get, okay, Dhruvel is smiling. You have to say something, Dhruvel. What are you remembering?
Radhe, I think Yashoda, Ma Yashoda, and
Perfect. So yeah,
Damodar, yeah. So,
to me also, yeah, it reminds of Damodar Leela, Yashoda Maiya. But this one is another Leela, which now onwards we will remember, a Bhakt actually, who has not tied Krishna, but Krishna himself remained tied in a rope for actually 2 weeks for this devotee, for preserving her devotion. And who is this devotee? She is Sakhubai ji. So let's learn about her. So I'll quickly read it actually. So a Brahmin lived in a village in Maharashtra. There were 4 people in their house: the Brahmin, wife, son, and daughter-in-law. So the daughter-in-law is the one whom we are talking about. She's Sakubai. And she was a very saintly person. Why? Because of the Bhagavad Gita shlokas we learned. She was born in a family where she actually got the association of devotees. So she learned from her early childhood about devotion and the importance of engaging in the remembrance of Lord Krishna. But just as a cow gets trapped in a trap of a butcher, Sakubai was married in a family where her mother-in-law, father-in-law, and husband all were not just not devotees, but they were against devotion. So they were against her also practicing devotion. And so much so that her mother-in-law would slap her, pull her hair, abuse her. So see, on one hand, she got raised in an environment that her devotion became more firm, right? So Krishna definitely made sure that she gets birth in such an environment. But at the same time, he did not stop from taking the test that, when you are faced with the difficult circumstances, how are you going to react? So a devotee faces that. So even her husband was not in her favor. So there was a lot of trouble, all sorts of abuse she was facing. Um, so But the idea is that one, when remembers God, while bearing honor, insult, profit, loss, sambhav, equanimity, victory, defeat, happiness, sorrow, with equal feelings, God becomes subservient to him. So this was nothing but I would see it as a test from Krishna. Like, I'm giving you the harshest situation. How are you going to react? Are you ready for me, right? So moving on. So she was harassed a lot. Torn clothes, dry food. She was scolded every moment. But she continued to remember Lord Krishna all the time. The village people will feel sorry for her, but she would never ever complain to anybody. And she would experience God's grace in her mind and think how kind Lord Krishna is. If the husband or the in laws had loved me, there would have been a hindrance to the love for Krishna. And this reminds me of another devotee, Tukaram. That was the exact same attitude he had, right? That my wife is not so loving. Like, thank you, God, for giving me such a wife so that I will never have attachment in this material realm. So one day a neighbor asked Sakubai that you're being given so much trouble. Why don't you take any help? Do you have a family? So what was her response? Do you know where my Maika is, my maternal family? It's in Pandharpur. And do you know who are my relatives? Lord Vittal and Goddess Rukmani ji. So, and they have a huge family, they have innumerable children. So, and that's why they have to take care of all of them. So, in that, they may have forgotten to come and take care of me in this context. But I know that they're very kind to me. So, this was the attitude that she was harboring all the time. So, this is, even after getting beaten up and all that, this is the smile that she was carrying. And this is because of her love for God, right? So now there was an opportunity for a group pilgrimage to Pandharpur, where Lord Vithal's temple is there. So she really, really wanted to visit there, and she knew that alone she can never go. And so she wanted to be a part of this group. And so what she did, she basically ran away. She saw the devotees who were singing and dancing, so she joined that gathering. But at the same time, a neighbor saw her leaving. And like that neighbor ended up complaining to her mother-in-law, and said that, look, your daughter-in-law has run away with the congregation of saints. So the mother-in-law now and the husband were fully ready. Let me just put this for charging. Little low battery. Sorry about that interruption. Where is it? Yeah. So yeah, so basically they ended up reaching there. Yeah, sorry, where am I? Yeah. So basically they ended up reaching there and caught hold of her, started hitting her with stick. So after going inside the house, they all beated her up. She kept saying, "Oh Vitthal, oh Krishna, oh Govind." And mother-in-law said that this was just a minor beating. We need to tie her up. Only then she will learn the lesson. You can see the screen, right? Okay. I think yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. So the mother, so yeah, then basically, they decided to tie her up. And now is the time that Krishna came to rescue. So, with a desire in heart, she said, "Oh Lord Krishna, how much happiness I got among your devotees." Like, now she has not even gone to Pandharpur, but just being part of that kirtan that all the congregation people were doing, she experienced true bliss. So she was like, for the very first time, I got to dance in a devotee group. I was going to see you. Is it not my power to come out of this hell in my lifetime? Oh Lord, is it not possible that I may see you in this birth? Can't I come to the temple and dance among your devotees? I know I'm very fallen and lowly. I cannot come to you alone. Oh Lord, please, this is a beautiful opportunity and this may not come again. So that's when Lord Vittal started thinking, what can he do? So he was not at peace. Rukmini ji saw him. In fact, if you guys remember last time also we talked about Vittal and Krishna and Rukmini ji, how they came for the devotee, and similarly now. So Rukmini ji realized that he is concerned and he said that I need to go. One of my devotees being beaten and troubled. She's tied up and she wants to meet me. I will not tell you the whole secret, but you will have to bear separation from me for a few days. Like, no, Rukmani ji didn't know what is he going to go through, but right. So yeah, so basically he decided to stay at her home for a few days in order to resolve things. So what happened? Krishna, Lord Vitthal, took the form of a very beautiful young woman and met Sakhubai at the river bank. So basically at the home, and then he asked her that, you want to go, so go and I will take care of the situation here. So when that happened, Krishna took the form of Sakubai. So now Krishna has become Sakubai and Krishna is tied. So now who is Krishna? Whose name breaks the bondage of Maya. So someone who's rare even for the greatest sages to attain. Now this lord is tied for the sake of his devotee, Sakubai, like an ordinary woman. Now Thakurji is being treated the way Sakubai was treated. He's getting slapped. He's accepting it silently. It's many days he hasn't received any food or water. He's being beaten daily. And the all-powerful Lord is being beaten but is not saying a word, just like Sakubai. But now is the twist. Like, it's not an ordinary human, it's Krishna. And Krishna is all attractive, right? So how can anyone not get attracted towards him? So Sakubai's husband felt bad for her and untied her after 2 weeks. Per her husband's orders, the Lord in the form of Sakubai took a bath, prepared a delicious meal and served it to her husband and in-laws. Then a lot of love rose in the heart of all the family members, because it was all done by the Lord himself. How can you not fall in love with him, right? So God changed the nature of her husband, mother-in-law, and father-in-law through his service and beautiful behavior. So all three started loving the Lord in the form of Sakubai. And on the other hand, Sakubai reached Pandharpur and she was like all enjoying in the bliss of devotion. She went to the temple and she was in the highest state possible. And at that point, she took a vow before God that as long as she had this life in her body, she will not cross the boundary of Pandharpur and not go away. So at this time, she had forgotten about this lady who had helped her and is probably facing the problem at her home, right? Like Krishna. So she basically became so enthralled by the beauty of God that in that ecstatic state, she gave her body up and she died. This is basically the kind of ecstatic state she was experiencing. So then there were a couple of Brahmins there who were from her village and identified her. So they decided to do a funeral for her. So her body was burnt in Pandharpur. But that's when Rukmini ji comes into the picture. She realized that it's been so long and Krishna hasn't come back. So she, with her powers, realized the entire situation and went to Pandharpur at the crematorium collected Sakubai's ashes and bones, looked at them with love, and gave Sakubai her life back. Now, Sakubai felt as if she has just woken up from deep sleep. But Rukmaniji said that, in her dream, she said that your woe has been fulfilled. Now it's a new body. So you can cross the boundary of Pandharpur, but please go back, because only then my beloved Krishna will be able to come back to me. So that's what happens. Sakubai goes back. And Thakurji immediately realizes that she's coming back. So in order to avoid confusion, there are two Sakubais together, he arranges for the situation that they end up meeting and exchanging. So basically she's considering her Thakurji as another woman who really helped her. So Sakubai touched her feet and said, thank you, for all the suffering you may have had. Thakurji said, don't worry, you are happy, right? She said, yes. Thakurji said, there is no need to worry. I did not face any trouble. If you find happiness, then every trouble is pleasant to me. This is very important, right? This is Thakurji's attitude for all his devotees. If you find happiness, then every trouble is pleasant to me. So that's when Sakubai returned back to her home. And in a nutshell, now her house was different, right? Because everybody was loving to her. And in fact, her family ended up realizing what all happened. So they understood the divine position, how big devotee Sakubai is. So their attitude towards her really changed. In fact, they wanted to learn devotion from her, and just being in the family of such a devotee, they all got uplifted and they all attained because they learned about how to practice devotion from Sakubai. So the conclusion, if the worshipper is moving ahead in the path of devotion and adversity comes, then be happy that the Lord is about to come. So if we are practicing devotion and we see material setbacks, and we are not moving away from practicing devotion, then definitely Krishna is going to come and help us to continue practicing devotion, irrespective of any situation. So our Lord is watching us every moment. Never be disappointed. No matter how much pain and suffering you may face, never think of giving pain to the one who gives you pain. Bear with joy and he will bless you. So that's the story about Sakubai. And sorry, I took like 10 more minutes, so I should just now stop. So Radhe Radhe, see you all next week.
Thank you, Sandhya. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Radhe Radhe.